Uh, Again, welcome all of you. We will be starting the session now. And today it's a very important session because today we'll be discussing about various aspects on. uh, so the session name is contraindication. However, we will be revealing that as such there is no contraindication, but yes, there are some understandings which all as a doctor need to develop. And let me just check. I think we are live on YouTube as well, and as usual many doctors are joining us on YouTube also. Right. So we are also live on YouTube, and more than 200 doctors have joined on YouTube as well. Great. So let me just start. And again, I thank and welcome Vikram Beer Singh as well, co-founder Ananta Hempux. I think Vikram, you are there, right? So again, thanks Ananta for.
Yes, Doctor. Thank
Yeah,
you.
hi, welcome. So through them, we are able to do these kind of sessions to all of you, and the more we will understand, the more we will develop a knowledge in terms of practicing medical cannabis. I think that will help all of us. And today, this is a very important session, by the way, and I will try to make it crisp and short with at least some aspects need to be covered as the clinician, as the practitioner, so that this video also people can watch later on and have more and more understanding around this particular aspect. So why we have chosen contraindication just to catch more eyeballs and just to have some more like visibility. However, technically contraindication is not as such. We will understand today about various aspects like the side effects, the drug interactions, which medicines we need to be cautious as far as cannabis is concerned, and some aspects I will touch upon because we are getting queries and we are getting questions as far as the dependency is concerned. Many doctors are asking ki patients are saying, doctor साहब, it is like addiction to nahi hoga, dependency is not there. And cannabis ka naam sunte people are having that perception that it will be creating some kind of a dependency or addiction to them. So I will be touching upon today that aspect as well because उसके ऊपर बात करना बहुत जरूरी था and we have to understand that also. So let me just quickly start the discussion. So first of all, let's understand the side effects. See, as far as cannabis medicines are concerned, इसमें हमें ये समझना है like we need to understand whenever we are talking about side effects, risks. So there is a risk and benefit analysis in any medical treatment or solution or medicine, be it ayurveda, allopathy, whatever. So risk benefit analysis की like अगर हम बात करें उसको समझें, and whatever the benefits we are getting, in fact those benefits which are equivalent to the highest dose of painkillers. Like for example, if I start talking about pain management, so we have equivalent painkillers which can manage and which can ensure healing to that kind of pain which cannabis can also manage. So if you compare on those terms, then side effects are very very minimum and very insignificant as per my clinical experience and journey till now. So yes, there can be drowsiness, dry mouth, dizziness, nausea. These can be certain side effects which people can feel. There are some more we'll talk upon on later slides, but the point first we need to understand here is, which I always convey to all the patients and to the fellow practitioners as well. See, when we talk about side effects, let's understand what are the benefits we are getting first. Because risk benefit analysis karte hai abhi bhi, like you can see there is a latest antiviral for COVID, and I think Monlopiravir is the name, and that is also being positioned, and doctors are justifying, researchers are justifying that risk benefit, although risks are there, but there are certain benefits also. And so many other medicines like all the anti-cancerous drugs, so although they have so much serious side effects, but like as far as the benefits are concerned, that they are controlling or reducing the cancer in the body, that is there. So that's why people have to tolerate the side effects, and doctors are also prescribing. So in that scenario, if we understand cannabis, so whatever the healing effects and whatever the healing solutions we are getting from cannabis, the comparison of side effects is very very minimum and non-resistant sometimes. Now you can say that okay, drowsiness. Let's understand each side effect. Drowsiness is like somebody has started and they can feel a bit drowsy or sleepy. And so that's why what we do is, and it's not a side effect by the way, it's sometimes a healing effect also, because many patients are coming that they're not able to sleep and we have to give this cannabis medicine for insomnia. So it's a like a healing effect as well sometimes. And so always start in a night dose, like whenever you are starting, especially those who are taking first time medical cannabis in their life and they are non-smokers, non-alcoholic and all. So always start them at either at bedtime, or maybe you can say that 1.5 hour prior to bedtime. We discussed this in detail in the dosing session and in the insomnia session also, the last one, which you all can refer. It is available in our YouTube channel also. So 1.5 hour prior to bedtime is the best dose, is the best time, is the best approach that we can have when we are starting the cannabis medicines to all the patients, which we are also doing. And then gradually after a week or 10 days, their body will be able to tolerate and they will adopt to this herb, to this medicine. And you can start with the day dose as well. Or you can do a minimum, like for example, tinctures का drops reduce कर सकते हैं day dose में. We did a dosing session. Maybe we have discussed like on an average, if you are starting with the 6 to 8 drops in night, so you can ask them to take 2 drops in morning or 1 drop for that matter. Or you can give them Triloki Vijayavati also, 1 or 2 tablet in the morning, and then the loading dose, either VJ75 capsule, 1 capsule or 2 capsule in night, or the tinctures you can give them in night, so that their maintenance of the therapeutic effect will be there. Dry mouth is, yes, there are patients, because उष्ण बीते है, पित्त प्रकोपक है, तो dry mouth is a very common side effect. So what we can do is we can ask them to have some honey. We can ask them to have some plenty of fluids, water and all. Still people are having this, so you can reduce the dose also if they are having much like issue with dry mouth and all. Otherwise, sometimes we have seen after a few days it will be fine. Then dizziness also there again, chakkar आना, and अगर dose से ज़्यादा गया तो they will feel more. Nausea, again, maybe you can say that sometimes in the side effects of chemotherapy, acute nausea, cannabis acts as a healing. But sometimes in initial again days, when person is taking first time, they can have some nausea. And if you are giving immediately the high dose, maybe for some acute issue, so that can be there. So that you need to understand, and accordingly you need to manage that also. But otherwise, in our most of the cases, I can say dry mouth or dizziness is the only side effect which people are reporting to us. And dizziness also, if we are starting with the day dose in the initial days. Otherwise, most of them are able to tolerate and they don't have any much issues as far as this particular herb and medicine is concerned, that is cannabis. Some can have gastrointestinal upset, and again, this can be due to some more regions, so which we need to understand. One is the carrier oil. So when you use tinctures of all the companies, always remember that good companies, and like there are so many companies in medical cannabis right now, but some are using low quality, some are having low quality medicines, and the carrier oils are also not that much good quality. So they sometimes focus on the extract, the vijay extract, the vijay leaf extract, but they don't focus on the quality of carrier oil. That is a very very important aspect, because when you are giving sublingually, so then also, and also if you are giving the capsule or tablet, in fact in that form we have seen gastrointestinal issues when somebody is taking tablets or capsules. In tinctures it is less, but still in tinctures also, if carrier oil is not good, or sometimes they are allergic to, sometimes some people are allergic to coconut oil for example, and they get loose motions or sometimes they get constipation also. So in those aspects we need to understand, and then accordingly either ask them to change the tincture with the different, like some companies are using hemp oil as a carrier oil, some companies are using MCT oil is a carrier oil, that is coconut oil. So accordingly you can change the tinctures, the carrier oil, and you can see that side effects are not there, right? That you need to understand, and accordingly. Otherwise, sometimes the dosage form, somebody was taking capsule or tablet and they have a GI issue, so you can shift them to tinctures and you can see the issue is not there. Then euphoria again, it is not with the medical dose, it is for the recreational users. And that again, for the medical side, if somebody is taking a bit like high dose, then only they will experience that. So that you need to understand, and accordingly you need to guide them, because we have did a detailed discussion, and I think Ananta team is there to help you with the exact dosage of each of their medicine. Still you need any specific more information, you can let us know. But this is can only be there with high dose, not with the medical dose, right? So on that note, let's discuss couple of things about overdose, because sometimes what happens is it's a sensitive herb, and when especially when we are giving the tincture bottle. So like for example, this kind of bottle is there. So you have this dropper, like so you have this dropper, and in fact sometimes what happens is when patient like they do like this, so they fill it with the tincture, and then we have asked them to have one drop, but they are just pressing this nozzle more, and they can have by error they can have a bit high dose. और sometimes किसी पेशेंट ने बोला डॉक्टर साहब मैंने तो वो पूरा प्रेस कर दिया और पूरा का पूरा ड्रॉपर ही गलती से मैं पी गया, एंड वो ओवरडोज, टेक्निकली मेडिकली इट्स एन ओवरडोज लाइक, एंड स्पेशली टीएचसी का इसमें थोड़ा इश्यू ज्यादा आता है, and that's why I mentioned about THC. I think CBD THC you all are aware. I don't want to repeat that. Otherwise, you can go for the previous videos. So THC की वजह से overdose में थोड़ा issue आएगा. Although the leaf extract is not that much high as compared to flower and bud and recreational wala, still people can get vomiting, diarrhea, increase heart rate, palpitations, cognitive problems, and all. So these are some side effects of overdose. But the best part is no one has been reported to died from cannabis overdose till now in the entire world, right? So that we need to understand, because there are so many allopathic medicines. If people will have some overdose, they can die also, which we all know as a practitioner or a doctor. But this is safe to that extent that if, as I was showing you this bottle, this is around 30 ml of the bottle. I don't want to like advertise any brand here, but there's a 30 ml bottle. So if somebody is taking the entire bottle also, na, I don't think so they will be dying. And there are some studies and some research like data is available. So nobody has died till now after taking cannabis overdose. I'm not talking about adequate dose, medical dose, but I'm talking about the overdose, right? So that is like the level of safety as far as this particular drug is concerned. And how to manage again if somebody has taken by error and all. In fact, initially we had 2 3 patients, they got panic, their attendants or family members got panic कि इनको like थोड़ा सा dizziness ज़्यादा हो रहा है, hallucination हो रहा है, like they are feeling, they are not feeling well, a bit high they were feeling. So we asked them the best form of treatment is simply to sit in a quiet room and wait, or you can ask them to sleep. So I remember one lady, she took by error, and in the night she called me, her daughter called me that mother is having this issue and all. So I asked her to try to make her sleep, and when she slept, and after that in the morning when she was awake, like she was fine, so there was no issue as far as any health concern is concerned. And it will not damage any organ, it will not damage anything inside the body. So that we need to understand as well, right? So overdose effect will pass after few hours, and ask the person to sit and relax or maybe sleep, and that's it. But that only will be with the overdose. But if you are giving them the adequate dose, these issues will not be there. I repeat, these issues I just mentioned, that as a clinician, as a practitioner, you should be aware about the overdose or the high dose issues as well, because sometimes in the tinctures, especially by error, people take high dose, and with couple of more drops, sometimes also you can have some side effects or some issues, because these are concentrated form of medicines, the extracts. So just ask them to take only those drops which you have prescribed them. And in capsule and tablets, again, it's good that you can maintain the control that okay, one capsule or two capsule or two tablets. So generally they take as per the compliance of what you have suggested them. Now let's understand the dependency aspect as well. Many times doctors are asking, many times patients are asking कि डॉक्टर साहब ये तो भांग है, इससे तो नशा होगा, इसके तो हम आदी हो जाएंगे, एडिक्ट हो जाएंगे. I keep on repeating that, and in today's session, I want to again say that dependency is for the recreational people, not for the medical users. लास्ट लाइन में ऑलरेडी हमने लिखा है कि डिपेंडेंसी इज सीन इन रिक्रिएशनल यूजर्स rather than the medical users. फिर भी let's understand that the accepted figure of cannabis dependency around the world is 9% only. If you compare it with alcohol, cocaine 17%, alcohol 9%, heroin 23%, tobacco 32%. And this I'm saying on the basis of the recreational usage, recreational users of cannabis. So if somebody is taking recreational cannabis, then also the dependency rate is minimum as compared to other like recreational agents are concerned. And you can see, and by the way, the second aspect to this is, again, I don't want to advocate this, and I'm not an advocate of recreational usage of cannabis till the time it is legal in our country, but still the risks are very very less. And if you compare with tobacco, for example, so you can clearly see that tobacco is 32% and cannabis is 9%. And tobacco kills, tobacco causes cancer, tobacco is very injurious in so many aspects. And on the basis of that, uh, like other like options also, but in those aspects also cannabis is not that much damaging to the body, right? So again, I don't want to advocate any recreational use, but still the like if you compare, if you do the relativeness, then also it is like very much less as compared to other options which are available. And this is because THC is high. Again, the recreational we need to understand is from the flower or bud. So now coming down to the medicines which we are giving, and in those medicines also, if somebody is taking a bit high dose, first you can have a check because you are dispensing them and you know that how much a bottle will last. So with the, at least if you are getting quick follow-ups, or if you are getting and in fact companies are also very much vigilant these days. So it's a prescription medicine, they will not get without prescription. So I request all the doctors also to track when you have given them the last, and accordingly you are giving them in an adequate time, not or more frequently they are taking. And just ask your staff also in the clinics to keep a watch that if patient is not taking again and again a particular medicine, or like they are sometimes taking multiple bottles. One bottle at a time is fine for one patient, right? So these kind of small things and checks you can have to ensure that people are not misusing or abusing with this particular medicine. And then also in the recreational, this entire data is for the recreational, by the way, and in that the flower and bud THC is very high. But in India we are using leaf extract, so in that THC is not that much high as compared to flower and bud. So that means it will not have any issue as far as the recreational and dependency is concerned. Right. So to summarize, the medicines which we are giving to the patients, they will not cause any dependency. They will not create any kind of a dependency in any patient. It's just for their healing. They can take, and accordingly they can be fine. And after some time, you can stop also. You can reduce the dose, and you can shift them to the other Ayurveda medicines or other any pathy medicines which you are giving to them. Right. Now, pregnancy and breastfeeding also, we need to understand that it's best to avoid any drug during pregnancy, because most of them lack evidence as they are safe in pregnancy or not, and that includes cannabis also. So, for lactating mothers and the pregnant ladies and all, we always recommend to stop if they are taking that, or not to prescribe them. Why? Because endocannabinoid system is involved in reproduction and several stages of fetal development as well, like in egg implantation, fetal brain, nervous system development. And CB1 and CB2 receptors are widely spread in the fetal tissues, and they also influence the onset of labor as well. So that means during the entire 9 months of the pregnancy and after the pregnancy also, uh, like the chances is that plant cannabinoids which we are giving as a medicine can pass through the placenta, as well as they are found in the high concentrations in the breast milk. So there was some studies and some research data which has been proved, like which has been done to ensure and to check. So it has been documented that whenever some pregnant lady is taking cannabis, plant-based cannabis, it is passing through the placenta. And when some lactating mother is taking, the high concentrations were there in the breast milk as well. So that means there is a possibility, and there is a scope of baby as well as the fetus during the pregnancy. Both can get uh, these plant cannabinoids. And there are long-term studies when we have seen that it can be a bit risky for the fetus as well as for the newborn baby. So that's why we ask them, and we avoid medical cannabis to the pregnant ladies and to the lactating mothers. So that you need to understand, and accordingly, please avoid that to all the female patients, that if somebody is taking and they are planning to have a family, they're planning for a baby. So it's better they should stop at that time and first plan the family, and then maybe. So you can ask them to have the external local application oils. Hemp seed oil is fine, they can take that. Local application products they can use, but avoid the tinctures and Trilokia vijayavati VJ75, these kind of medicines, the internal leaf extract medicines to the pregnant and lactating mothers. So that you need to understand, and accordingly you need to take it forward in your clinical practice learning. Now, very important aspect, many doctors have asked about the drug drug interactions, that okay, with cannabis what kind of medicines we can uh, like continue, what kind of medicines we should stop, or maybe maintain a gap. In that I will share some allopathic medicine list. But prior to that, I want to discuss couple of Ayurveda fundamentals. I'm not sharing any specific list as far as the Ayurveda medicines is concerned, but there are some fundamentals which we need to understand. See, we all know, we have discussed this many times, that it's a Nushn Virya औषधि and पित्त का प्रकोप करती है. सो पित्तज व्याधियों में और पित्तज प्रकृति के पेशेंट्स में तो हमें वैसे भी थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना है. पिष्टामक औषधियाँ साथ में दे दीजिए. अदरवाइज भी जो भी मेडिसिन और हैं जो पित्त का प्रकोप करेंगी या उष्ण वीर्य हैं, तो बेसिकली सेम सेम मेडिसिन अगर आप साथ में दे देते हैं, तो देन समटाइम्स द साइड इफेक्ट्स आर मोर प्रोमिनेंट. फॉर एग्जांपल, कैनबिस देने से ही थोड़ा सा उसको ड्राई माउथ का इशू आ रहा है, और आपने कोई और औषधि भी साथ में दे दी जो उष्ण वीर्य थी या पित्त का प्रकोप कर रही थी, तो और ज्यादा वो प्रॉब्लम उसको पेशेंट को होगी. सो दैट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, राइट. सो स्पेसिफिकली थोड़ा सा रस औषधियों के साथ इसको ध्यान दें. एंड हनी का प्रयोग कर सकते हैं अनुपान में, अगर आप रस औषधियाँ देते हैं. एंड इसमें थोड़ा सा आप गैप भी कर सकते हैं, लाइक व्हाट वी हैव सीन इन आवर क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस. Generally, we are giving the entire Ayurveda prescription, so we maintain a bit gap, and generally we start this at night or bedtime sometimes, or at one and a half hour prior to bedtime. And the other Ayurveda medicines which are they are taking it in the morning, afternoon, or evening. Generally, not after dinner. After dinner, we are asking them to take the cannabis. So in that way, we maintain some few hours gap, and that is fine sometimes. And थोड़ा सा इसका जो प्रॉपर्टीज है उसके हिसाब से मेडिसिन बाकी भी आप अपने आयुर्वेदा प्रिस्क्रिप्शन में अगर फाइनलाइज करेंगे, तो दैट इज द ओनली थिंग विच वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड एज फार एज द इंटरेक्शन ऑफ कैनाबिस विद लाइक आयुर्वेदिक मेडिसिन की बात करें. हाँ, उसमें ध्यान रखेंगे कि कामनी विद्यामंडल से कोई भी ऐसी औषधि है जिसमें अहीफेन है, अफीम है, या कोई और विष द्रव्य है, तो उसका भी थोड़ा सा यू नीड टू टेक केयर, बिकॉज वो ज्यादा देंगे तो थोड़ा सा इशू आ सकता है. So most of the time patient can continue taking their own prescribed medicine. So cannabis has been documented to have very few interactions with the medicines, and in some cases, in fact, you can reduce the dose of prescribed medicines also. Like for example, they are taking opioids for pain, so cannabis से ही pain management होना शुरू हो जाएगा, and gradually we can stop painkillers, steroids, opioids. Many medicines we have stopped for the patients when we started medical cannabis. But there are some interactions with the anticonvulsant, especially for the epileptic drugs. And there are some more medicines which I will be describing in the forthcoming slides. So there was some specific interaction noted in some patients who were on the anti-epileptic drug like clobazam. And when while people were taking cannabis, the clobazam levels were getting increased, specifically due to CBD, and the drowsiness was more. So that can be one interaction or one example which we need to understand. So accordingly, the drug dosage adjustment should be there, and maybe there can be some gap as well. Right. So that we need to understand, and accordingly, we need to plan the management or the prescription. Now there are few drugs. So there are these 13 drugs. I try to compile from whatever the existing data is available. It's an ongoing process. It's not that I'm saying that only these drugs are there. There can be few more drugs which maybe I have missed. All of you can do your research, and but I spent around 3-4 hours of preparing these few slides yesterday and today. So I searched the entire research database, the entire. I have a research paper bank of cannabis researches done till date. So I have kept one specific folder and one specific drive for that only. So from there also I tried to search and figure out. So these are some medicines which are having moderate severity. I will be showing some critical severity medicines also in the next slide, but these are with the moderate severity of interaction with a theoretical evidence is there. So an interaction does not mean that it is fatal. Interaction does not mean that this is we are not supposed to give. But the point is, if they are taking any medicine of like this in this list which we are discussing, so either you can have at least gap. You can, what you can do is, as a clinician, you can understand the half life on a particular salt, and into that you can have a gap. As I said, generally we do any allopathic medicine or any medicine they are taking, when we shift or when we add them to medical cannabis. So what they ask them is to take the existing medicine in the daytime, morning or afternoon and evening. Evening till 5 to 6 p.m. is fine. And then generally the medical cannabis starts at around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the night. So in that way, it will be easy to manage with any other medicines they are taking, and ask them to have plenty of fluids also. But still, these some medicines have the interaction potential which you need to understand. So there are six antiretrovirals which are listed here, which you can see. Then there are three antifungals, then one pharmacokinetic enhancer, cobicistat. Then anti-cancerous drug is there one, and one is antibiotic, clarithromycin. So all these medicines have moderate severity of interaction along with cannabis. So that you need to understand, and accordingly you need to be cautious. At least you can be aware about what current medicines they are taking, and either maintain a gap, or you can stop also if required, or you can ask them to consult their physician as well sometime, that if they can have some replacement to that, if they want to start the medical cannabis. And the best part is, many times patients are very much interested in starting or adding medical cannabis in their regime. So then they go to their clinician and their doctor, and they ask them to replace with some other salt, so that they can have the cannabis medicine in their treatment protocol, right? So that you need to understand. So that is so this is one list which you can follow. And now there is another list which is critical, severe severity of interaction. So these 8 drugs, I repeat, these 8 drugs, please be very, very cautious, and better to ask them to stop either, and shift to them to the cannabis and the other Ayurvedic medicines. Predominantly, you can see the epileptic drugs are there, anticonvulsants are there, carbamazepine is there, then enzalutamide is there, phosphentine is there, midotane is there. It's like for Cushing syndrome, adrenocortical CA cancer की drug है. Then there are some anticonvulsants like phenobarbital, phenytoin, primidone. Rifampicin is a very common antibiotic, or you can say anti-TB drug in India as well. Almost all the tuberculosis patients are taking rifampicin. So, but these 8 drugs which we have studied and which we have seen are having severe severity of interaction as far as cannabis is concerned. So please be very, very cautious with these 8 drugs whenever a patient is coming to you. So you need to see that, okay, what kind of medicines they are taking, and accordingly you need to ask them to either replace or avoid that medicine if they want to shift to the cannabis. Generally what people do is, they, after exhausting and after taking these kind of medicines for long term, then they come to you. So it's better what we follow is, immediately we stop or ask them to have an alternate, at least for these 8 drugs. That we need to understand, and accordingly we need to take it forward. Apart from that, any patient with cardiovascular incidents and they're taking some medicines also, you need to be a bit cautious and ask them to consult their cardiologist as well. People with sleep apnea and some other kind of acute sleeping disorders also, sometimes you need to be very cautious. And it's always good that when you are starting medical cannabis, see, the problem here is, again, I don't want to criticize any pathy or any doctor here, but the problem here is, this one particular medicine, one category of medicine, that is cannabis in Ayurveda, is having a potential to fight with many allopathic drugs and allopathic medicines with a single dose. But again, the problem which we all are facing as an Ayurveda practitioner is the negativity which we get from our counterparts, that is allopathy doctors. So when patient comes to us and when we ask them to replace or to uh, avoid these any of these medicines if they are taking because of these interactions, so they again go back to their allopathic doctor, and then they make them negative about cannabis and all. इससे तो dependence हो जाएगा, ये तो addiction हो जाएगा and all. And then for some doctors, like in our fraternity, also get sometimes confused. So please avoid these kind of things. Be firm and be confident on what you are prescribing to them. It's their wish if they have to start medical cannabis, but for that they need to stop or they need to avoid that, right? So that we need to understand, and accordingly we need to take it forward. So as I was saying, there can be a few other drugs and there can be few other medicines also. uh, what we can do is, I believe and I understand there has to be one more session. Today it was a basic structure and basic understanding, but in the next session we will have more detailed discussion about some more aspects which we need to understand. Maybe you can say some kind of risk, some kind of some more side effects, some kind of some more drugs also. And I request all of you to do some kind of research on your own as well. Let's have some interaction and let's have some like activities which all we can do, and as a team let's grow together. So please read, find, there are definitely there are some more drugs and some more medicines which I intentionally left in today's discussion, so that you people can also search and see and get back to us, and we will confirm from our research database, as I said, we have that yes, these are also having some issue. Why we need to understand one more thing, by the way. There is one more important aspect which I want to convey to all of you is, see, what happens is when we Google something, and many doctors have come up me to me with some queries that doctor साहब इसके बारे में तो ऐसा लिखा था, उसके बारे में तो ऐसा लिखा था. And some doctors, what they are doing is they are just copy pasting the Google stuff and they are posting on their social media profiles as well. Please do not do that. uh, what is printed and what is at the front end in through the Google in the on the websites, many times it has been sponsored and it has been there to like the world to show, the world to see, is due to some vested interest of some companies or some particular industry as well. How then we can figure out, and the problem is research studies are also sometimes manipulated, and sometimes you will say that, okay, it seems that in this research study the data is showing that it is very harmful. You will find so many negative research papers about cannabis as well, right? So the point is, when we understand and when we need to get the authentic data, so sometimes the quality of academic researches are still better as compared to the industry sponsored research. That is point number one. Second, there are some universities and some, in fact, countries also specifically, which are doing a bit authentic research as far as cannabis is concerned. So always confirm and always have multiple sources to check, and always have multiple countries also to check. Like for example, our database and our research is not dependent only on a particular country, like for example US. No, we do, and we check the research studies from Canada, from Israel. Like top 5 countries right now in the world who are doing exhaustive research on cannabis are US, Canada, so you can say North America, Europe. Specifically in Europe, there are few countries like Israel, Italy. They are doing good research as far as cannabis is concerned. Then Australia is doing a bit, not that much, but yes, there are some studies. So always understand and always follow those country and those research studies, which are the UK has done some as well. So that's it. Otherwise, not much in Asia right now. Um, there are some research studies going on in India as well, but at a very niche level. So let's have some questions and maybe some queries which you people want to discuss. You can have in your Zoom chat as well. And meanwhile, I request any one of you wants to speak, wants to have a query or a any feedback or anything which you have felt during your practice of medical cannabis, please raise your hand, and we will have you as a co-host. And along with that, Vikram, if you are there, you can share your comments on maybe your experience as an owner of a particular medical cannabis company. Maybe you people are also getting some. We always talk about positive, but let's talk some negative aspects here today in this session, so that all the clinicians and all of us are aware about that. So anything which you want to discuss, please go ahead. And as I said, let's have another session next week on the same line of discussion. Hope I was able to address some queries today which were there. And please do share your feedbacks of these sessions, by the way. And I request Vikram to do this exercise from your team. That till now we have done, I think this is our fifth session, if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. So please have some feedback session, how we are going, but exactly maybe something we need to add, something we need to remove from our current model of doing these sessions. Feedback is very important, and because we have an esteemed panel, like all these are very highly qualified. I can see, I know many of them, so they are very much highly qualified, postgraduate. Some doctors are postgraduate, some doctors are very much experienced. So they are very niche audience, and people who are there as an audience to us on these sessions. So their feedback is very, very important, very crucial for all of us, including me as well, personally, and to the entire exercise which we are doing. So please have this feedback exercise also with all the people till now which we are connected to them, to understand, and accordingly we can take it forward and we can shape up in a better way. So your remarks, Vikram, for this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. I'd like to once again thank you all the doctors for joining us today, and I hope the session was informative. And thank you, Dr. Piyush, for taking all the effort and collecting all this knowledge so that the doctors can understand that. Um, Dr. Saab, as far as feedback is concerned, yes, I personally have been dealing with a lot of doctors, and I've been trying to understand where exactly the question mark comes when it comes to medical cannabis. And in my small experience or whatever we have done in the market, the first major issue, if we start from the basic, is that obviously the availability of this medicine has not been there. It has not been there. It's only been there for the last 2 years. And though a lot of doctors know about the Vijaya practice and the cannabis practice, but just because of the non-availability of the medicine, they have not been able to do it. So they don't have any experience or a positive experience or patient testimonials to actually make a judgment on this direction. Most of the doctors I meet in Delhi, around Delhi, anywhere, they are definitely very interested in the cannabis practice. A lot of them do believe into it. The quality of medicines comes into a question mark. A lot of literature and knowledge is something which comes into a question mark. And realizing all of these things only, we have been in the market now for over a year, maybe a little more, and we realized that with the manufacturing of the medicine and getting the right quality to the doctor, what is more important right now and the need of the hour is that we also provide the right kind of knowledge. and the right kind in the right kind of topics. Because what I realized when I was meeting doctors was, and when I understood from the doctor that what are the kind of patients they're seeing, and everybody has a certain specialty. Some are general doctors, some are specific to a certain areas, but every 10 patients they were seeing, in my personal experience, I think 3 to 4 to 5 patients was something which medical cannabis could have been incorporated and can be incorporated in the general course of treatment. And that is where I thought that, and that is where I think you also guided us that we need to focus more on the education bit of the doctors. And it's not education, it's basically just knowledge transfer and skill updation कह लो या कुछ भी कह लो उसको. तो यही सोच के हमने ये सारे सेशंस करने शुरू करे. And the idea and the vision of the company is that we are sharing all the links to the doctors every time they attend any session, and the total database which I have of the doctors. So even if a doctor has not attended 5 or 6 sessions, or is in the middle, of some new doctor we meet tomorrow who is new to the practice, तो ये वो अगर session 1 से लेके ऐसे follow करना शुरू करेंगे, तो I think a lot of questions will be answered. And that is our vision also, that to create a platform and download this knowledge as and when required. Also, as far as the negatives are concerned, yes, the major question which comes from the doctor is, because this component has THC found in the leaves, so addiction is a big question, and which I think we've tried to answer in a lot of sessions, and how to dose and how to taper off the dose. And then this particular point, that okay, if the patient is on a certain medications, and me being a doctor, I don't understand that in detail. But yes, if the patient is on antidepressants or anticoagulants, or heart patient or diabetic patient, or sedatives or anything, then how will this affect? So these are the only things which are which we have come across. As far as negatives are concerned, we haven't got any patient testimonials saying that he's had any severe issues. All the connected doctors which we have, I've tried to take a feedback from them. We haven't got anything which is a serious side effect, or a bad indication. But yes, we do have feedbacks in which the patient जिनको effect ही नहीं कराई, उनको कुछ असर नहीं हुआ. So that can have its own reasons. I believe, some immune systems are like that, and, some people can be 1% or 0.5% can be allergic to this medicine. Except of that, we haven't come across anything negative about this. And as you said, Dr. Saab, I think it's a very, very miraculous plant, and the positives and the effects are only being realized more and more every day. And as the knowledge is going to go ahead, clinical trials are going to happen. The Western studies are taking place on its place. So I think we are heading for a very good future. I think in this year, I think we'll have a lot of more knowledge and a lot of more clarity on this. So that's all I have to say on this topic.
Sure. We have some questions as well. Quickly, let me just go through the questions. Dr. Deepak, you can maybe share your details. You want samples, so Vikram, you can connect with Dr. Deepak Gupta. He needs some samples, so maybe you and your team can connect with him.
Sure. I will just share my details with them also, and we anyways get the. I will get in touch with him. Well,
yeah, Dr. Razvi, yes, acidity can be there, and OMSD you can use. In fact, you can use Ayurvedic medicines like Sushekhar Ras is very good. We are using Dadi Mamle, we are using Amlant is there from Maharishi, we are using Zen acid is there from Jhandu, then active antacid is there from Dabur. We are using Kam Dudha as well, along with Sushekhar. Acute acidity, Son Sushekhar is very good. So you can have Ayurveda medicines rather than like as far as allopathic medicines are concerned, they are better in fact sometimes. Dadi Mamle is very good. We are using right now, and it's very good antacid as well as it's helping us in pith as a pith shamak aushadhi as well. So you can use that as well. So then, Dr. Sri Lakshmi, yes, okay. So I think Dr. Preeti has already answered. Great. Nice answer, Dr. Preeti. But yes, Dr. Sri Lakshmi, you can have cannabis along with any antihypertensive, diabetic medicine, or normal antidepressant medicines as well. Nexito is a very common, and many people are taking that. It's fine. In fact, we have replaced Nexito and other antidepressants after some time, and people and patients are on only medical cannabis along with some Ayurveda. Manas Mitra Vatkam is a very good medicine which we are using along with cannabis, Stress Comstressan, and many other company medicines we are using, and we are seeing very good results as far as cannabis medicines are concerned. And you can give it sublingual sorbitrate. Why they are using, again, as I said, for cardiovascular cases, please be a bit cautious. Please ask them to uh, consult with the cardiologist as well, right? So that is one thing. It will reduce the effect of antidepressant, Dr. Maria is asking. But yes, see, let me clarify. The target is to replace their antidepressants with Ayurveda management. Now, depression means what? And in fact, we can have a separate session on depression. In that, you will get a more clarity. So, if they are reducing the effect of ongoing antidepressants, we want to eradicate. We want to we want to taper their antidepressants with Ayurveda. So, if it's reducing, it's, in fact, it's good for us also. But on the lighter note, let's understand the depression management, and then I think this question will be answered. You can pair it with SSRIs, no issue, but again have a gap, as I said, any medicine. Because see, what I am talking with all of you is on the basis of whatever the research studies I was able to compile, and to my knowledge, it seems to be authentic research studies. But I can't guarantee the authenticity, and I can't guarantee that this can be the final data. But yes, as per our clinical experience, I can say, and I'm in fact more confident on the clinical experience as far as the theoretical knowledge is concerned. Many people are taking SSRIs with the cannabis in our existing patient pool, and they are fine. The only thing, as I said, we are asking them to have at least some gap. And by the way, in all these medicines, again, I repeat, and this is the last concluding remark for this session today, as I don't think there are many more questions now left. Whenever you are giving medical cannabis and they are already taking allopathic medicines, prefer the oral tinctures as compared to the capsules or tablets. I repeat, prefer oral tinctures as compared to capsules or tablets for medical cannabis when somebody is already taking the uh, medicines, existing allopathic medicines. And why? Because there are two reasons. One, the sublingual absorption of cannabis will ensure that the drug-drug interaction will be as minimum as possible. Bioavailability will be better, that we all know, but that is one. Second is for sublingual, as we have understood the side effects. So already they are taking allopathic medicines and they have some certain side effects, especially the digestive side effects, and some side effects are there, which will be less when we are giving the oral tinctures as compared to the capsules or tablets. So that you need to understand, and accordingly, if you plan and do the medical management with cannabis with the oral tinctures, that will be the better option. And as I said, we can start with the night dose, and then accordingly we can start the day dose also. And there will be other Ayurveda medicines also along with that, which will help them. So that you need to understand, and accordingly you need to be a bit cautious. So Dr. Amit, you want to ask something? Let me just unmute you just a second. Yeah, you are a co-host now. You can unmute yourself and please ask your question. Or do you want to discuss anything?
Sir, have you tried it in COVID cases like the tincture in COVID?
Absolutely, Dr. Saab. In fact, one of my video in April 2021 got viral, and in that video also I mentioned that to COVID cases we were giving medical cannabis. At that time, the research was not that much. There was one research which established that it reduced the cytokine storm. And if you remember, in the second wave, patients were getting their lungs damaged, and they were getting hospitalized, and panic was more, and critical cases were more as compared to this current version of virus. And we have exhaustively used medical cannabis in several COVID patients, and we have seen very good results. In fact, the alarming case, I still remember, there was a family, wife, husband, both got affected with COVID, and wife were already taking medical cannabis for osteoarthritis problem from us in February 2021 we started. And in April, wife husband both got affected, and but in fact the infection was more in wife as compared to husband, but the symptoms and issues were more in husband as compared to wife. And then we realized that she was taking already CBD oil, the oral tincture. That can be one reason. And then when we have seen healing properties and effects in other cases also, we got it. Generally we give a complete Ayurveda treatment, a complete Ayurveda prescription, along with other, like we were using swand,
I have been
Rashaushadhis and other medicines along with medical cannabis. So we have seen it was acting as a catalyst. We have seen right now also within 4 or 5 days reports are coming negative. And now we have another research in which the spike protein process is getting inhibited with cannabis, and it is ensuring that the virus is not entering into the cells. That research is also there at a bit initial level, but research is there. So
but
but yes, we have seen healing in our many of our cases, and they are on medical cannabis as
but
far as
we have
medical.
been reading
Yeah, your voice is breaking, doctor.
what
I
I
think
have
there
been
is some network issue.
what I have been reading that if the CBD and THC ratio is if it is more of the CBD, then only the it is working in the cases of the COVID.
See,
But what
we need to
but
understand,
what
right,
we are
right.
getting 1:1 THC. The researchers clearly state that the if it is 1:1, then the THC competitively binds the receptors and the effect is reduced. Like the THC is having a negative effect in COVID cases. What I have been reading.
No, actually, what we need to understand is all this research which we are seeing is predominantly in the West, and there
Best.
they have this facility of doing the isolates or doing the permutation and combination as far as the ratios of CBD-THC is concerned. But what exactly we are using in India right now is a full spectrum, which is without any fixed ratio, or we can't do any permutation and combination with the ratios, or we can't do isolates in India right now. That is point number one, which we need to understand. So whatever the clinical practice we are doing here is with the full spectrums. So the second point is you are absolutely right in that it is mentioned in the research. Still, we were able to get good results. And as I said, it's not only cannabis which we are using. We are using, for example, Triloki Chintamani we have used exhaustively in many COVID cases, and others on like Ras Oshadhis also, Abhragmasam we are using certain other medicines also. So when we have collectively given this along with other Ayurveda medicines to that group, and if we compare to the other group where we are giving only Ayurveda medicine, not medical cannabis, so the group which was taking Ayurveda medicines plus cannabis is having better results in compared to healing, or in compared to controlling the infection, or maybe their reports are negative early. So that we can judge, and we can have the data on which we can advise or maybe share our experience. But yes, the
Yeah,
problem
I
here.
tried on 2-3 patients with Ayurvedic medicine. I tried Mahalakshmi Vilas Ras with gold
Right.
preparation, and but I am not sure about the results with this medical
But
cannabis.
what you have given,
It
Doctor
may
Saab,
be
in
a
medical
difference or
cannabis to
not.
the
I am not
patient,
very sure right now.
but what you have given to the patients in medical cannabis,
I tried 12.5% the Vijaya leaf extract,
oral tincture.
12 tincture, yes.
And what do
10% I also tried.
what do you mean by not sure? Like you have not got healing or what?
The results, I am not sure if it is working or not, because THC is present, so I feel it is causing more dizziness to the patients. Like
No, but you
the
can
side
do.
effect profile is present, definitely present.
So you can do is you can give them at bedtime as
I
far as
tried
the
with
oral.
4 drops on the patient.
So you can give them at bedtime. That is one which we need to understand, because in the daytime when we give, definitely dizziness will be there. And second is you can give them for at least few days along with other medicines. In that also, along with Mahalakshmi Vilasras, we have seen, as I said, either Triloki Chintamani or uh, Shwaskas Chintamani and Abhragvasam. So this you can use along with Mahalakshmi.
I feel there is a need for some like the Sooth Shekharas. It is must for this medicine.
That is definitely
I
because
am
the
also convinced. Yes.
gastrointestinal issues are there. But yes, as I said, it is acting as a catalyst, or it is acting as a fast healing agent in all the COVID patients, which we have seen in our clinic. Although we are not giving to all the patients, sometimes they don't want to have this in COVID.
And I
But yes,
also think the dizziness is reduced in around 1 to 2 hours.
huh,
They
that's why
they
that's
are, they
why
are normal after 2 hours.
that's why we are saying that start with the evening or a night dose is best, because after that they will sleep and they will not feel that much of dizziness. So that we need to understand, and accordingly we need to practice that. Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Amit. And we need more and more doctors like you to be more interactive and discuss and share their experiences, so that we can have a fruitful and productive discussion in these sessions. And we need more doctors to be open up and to share and discuss these kind of feedback, so that we'll be able to get a fair idea about your experiences, and we can maybe as a team have more learnings also from these sessions, right? So thank you again for joining today, and looking forward to have many more sessions like this with all of you. And thanks Vikram also and Nanta Hempworks for ensuring that these kind of sessions happen on a regular weekly basis. So I
Definitely,
think,
Dr. Saab. We're going to be seeing everybody on next Saturday. We will decide the topic and let everybody know. And but we are hoping to do these sessions very continuously, and I hope we are bringing some clarity and some knowledge to the questions which generally doctors have around medical cannabis. And thank you so much, Dr. Saab, once again for putting this effort and collecting this information. We're all
right. Thanks.
without you, it's not
Thanks.
possible.
Thanks all of you. Take care. Have a nice weekend ahead, and let's connect again on next Saturday, 3 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.